New Doritos.
Hi there, welcome along to this evening's Premier League Tonight. If you're watching the best bits on social media, it will last 1 minute. If you're watching the whole show, it will last 1 hour. We're so pleased to have you with us. Use the hashtag PL Tonight to join in the debate in the studio. As you can see, Martin Keown has joined us. How are you?
Very well. I was disappointed though with the Swansea performance. Expected better, but very well done to Bournemouth. They thoroughly deserved their win.
Yeah, that was disappointing, but your tie-pin is absolutely excellent. Let's go straight to the headlines from the day, because it's been a big old day for the Premier League today. Enough is enough. Time to go. One of the banners today, after Arsenal's defeat to West Brom, Wexit signs. We'll be talking about Arsene Wenger in just a couple of moments. Meanwhile, totally the opposite emotion as far as Chelsea are concerned. Another win for them. Cahill with the goal that won them and got them another 3 points. Congratulations to Chelsea, romping towards the title. And Shakespeare Sonnet. None of you got that. A really good result once again for him. He's taken Leicester through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and he's won yet another Premier League match. Now, it was an interesting day, not just on the football field for Arsenal today, but take a look at these two banners that were seen above the Hawthorns. First of all, this appeared. No contract, Wenger out. A few minutes later, it changed to this. I'm not sure whether it was buy one get one free at the airfield, but in Arsenal we trust. Hashtag respect AW. So both sets of Arsenal fans are doing their best to try and convince the outside world that they know what they want the future to be for Arsenal. But what do you think? Use the hashtag PL Tonight, share your thoughts about Arsenal, and we start by hearing from Mo.
Outside the Hawthorns, another defeat for Arsenal, and we're getting too used to this. The bad thing is that it's not even like we got unlucky today. They deserved that. Every single moment, every single tackle, every single second ball, they were better. They were playing for their manager, and it was clear to me today that our boys weren't. First half was about flipping banners, and the final whistle after that, again, more banners. Not in the air this time, but in the stands. It's becoming a bit of a joke. Something needs to change, and Arsenal need to do something about it quickly.
It's becoming a joke. Something needs to change. Arsenal need to do something about it quickly. The thoughts of the guys in a moment, but first, the natural place to start is the thoughts of Arsene Wenger after the game.
Oh, don't worry. I know what I will do in my future, so you will soon know, and very soon. Today, I do not necessarily worry about that. We are in a unique bad patch that we never had in 20 years. We lose game after game at the moment, and that is for me much more important than my future.
I know what I will do with my future. There you go, the quotes of Arsene Wenger. These are the recent results for Arsenal. This is a big reason why the banners and the anger is spilling from the stands. You can see there, the only 3 victories they've managed in the last 9. Hull, Sutton and Lincoln. It's a strong quote, that, Martin, from Arsene Wenger. I know what I will do next, and we'll find out soon.
Well, listen, this story is going to run and run while Arsenal keep losing matches. It's quite remarkable to see the number of games, and they're looking now, are they even going to be in the top 7 this season? I mean, they're just tumbling out of the top 4. The wheels are coming off, and you're looking at it. No Ozil today. Sanchez, I think, was playing most of the game with an injury. I was listening to the match. I can never remember it being this bad for Arsene Wenger, and it does feel now, very sadly, like it's the end of an era for Arsene Wenger. It's just finding the right moment to announce that. I don't know if the players could cope with him saying that he's about to leave. That may be the only reason why he's not making any kind of announcement, if he feels it's going to affect the group. But the writing really is firmly on the wall.
Well, I think it can't affect them any worse than what it's affecting them. They can't win a game and he's not making a decision. He might as well say, I'm going to leave. It can't get any worse. He might as well make a decision.
How aware will the players be of the banners and the signs in the stands?
I don't think they worry that much. We all get carried away about how much, the player won't want to stay if Wenger goes. I read all this nonsense. There you go, somebody else comes in. Ranieri goes, Shakespeare comes in. Wenger goes, somebody else will come in. God, the king is dead, long live the king. That's football. Players, they don't lose any sleep. The manager's gone a week or two, somebody else comes in. These are all players that are the biggest problem they've had, the recruitment. They're bought in bang average players. When Martin played for Arsenal, they had great players. They were great teams. Now they're an average team. They've recruited average players, and they're not good enough, and he can't do anything about it.
The players won't be bothered if Arsene Wenger gets the sack. If Arsene Wenger comes out tomorrow and says, listen, chaps, I've done my bit, I'm going to go, there's no chance. The players ain't going to lose sleep over that. They'll be thinking who's coming in next. They'll be turning the page tomorrow and going, right, who's odds on? Who would like me? Who
Was
would
it
I
like that
suit?
at Manchester United when there was rumours about Sir Alex and what was going to happen with him next as he came towards the
It's a bit
end?
different. He went out winning the league. It's a bit different.
They were winning
It's a
every
different way
week,
to
weren't
go.
they?
And
And
he-
these are players now, Reed. You're talking about Rio was there long term with Martin was there at Arsenal. These players, a lot of them have come in now. They're new players. You know, Sanchez is not happy whether he likes the manager or not. I'm not sure. It don't look like it to me. You know, and they've got the midfield. The boy at the back is not good enough. They've got some average players now. Arsenal. They don't look anywhere near the full.
There's so many major decisions that need
Yeah.
to be made. You know, the Ozils and Sanchez is not signing contracts. I just feel that the manager needs to give some sort of lead as to what's going to happen. Is he to stay there, or is he going to go? I mean, the thing is, at the moment, he just can't. He can't create the goals, the opportunities. The performances are disappearing. They're disintegrating. They don't seem to be together as a group. Never seen this before.
He's not
It's
had it,
not
Martin, has he?
imploded under his feet.
He's not had it. He's had some, you know, he's built great teams, and he's now suddenly he's taking his own with him. Don't kid yourself. He's going home, and he ain't sleeping. You don't sleep when you get in that position that he's going through now.
But I
He's
think-
getting badly hurt by the criticism.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But I still think Arsenal Football Club is more important than any individual. So I think a decision needs to be made either way. Either he's going to stay for next season or he's
Yeah.
going to leave, because I think recruitment has been an issue at this football club for a number of years now.
But
so
I-
the preparation for this summer needs to start as soon as possible.
It's one of those, though. I think a lot of the players can hide behind the manager's story. You know, you're looking into that dressing room, and I think Arsene Wenger needs to be asking the question of his group. You know, listen, of course I'm not going to be here forever. That's for sure. Whether I'm here next year depends really on your performances. But somebody in that dressing room has got to stand up. Where are the leaders in there? Where's the personalities? It's just happening. It's far too easy.
This is a
Rolling over
recurring-
at the moment.
This is a recurring theme, though. Every single season for the past 6, 7, 8 years, where is the leaders? Where are the guys that are going to get people back around the scruff of the necks, like was happening in your time? If there's a problem, the manager don't have to speak after time in proper change rooms. The players sort it out. They're left to the lieutenants in the change room to sort it out. I don't see them lieutenants in that change room.
Just take a look at this tweet which we've seen. And it's very similar to this. Watching Arsenal is like watching Chelsea under Mourinho last season. Wenger can't motivate his players, but they're to blame too. So are the players doing what they did at Chelsea and maybe hiding behind the manager, maybe doing what they did at Leicester and not backing the manager? What's happening here for the players behind the scenes?
Listen, we've watched Arsenal play on many occasions. So for Bayern Munich, for instance. Now, you saw a Manchester United team, which were down to 10 men, only lose 1-0 in the FA Cup. You saw an Arsenal team that gets battered. You wonder about their naivety, the game management. So what sort of characters, what are they learning under the manager? There's a philosophy to play football, but you also want to be winning games and get something out of a performance and out of every match. And that's been alarming this year, the way that they've been losing and been brushed aside so easily by some of the top teams. And now they're not even creating chances. Who's the centre forward? It's Welbeck today. It's been Giroud. It's been Sanchez. There's uncertainty, and we've not seen this for many years at Arsenal.
So if Arsene Wenger goes, is it any better next season with these same players? I mean, you're saying the players are not good enough.
No, I don't think. I think that they're not performing, and some of the players they're brought in are not good enough. But you saw a goal today at West Brom, the first goal. Dawson, who is probably their second best, if not their best header, maybe with McCauley. He stood 10 yards, 12 yards from goal. He stood on his own, no one near him. Ramsey stood there, 3 yards away. The ball gets delivered, he runs into the box, Ramsey watches him go by him, and he runs in, he's on the run, he gets momentum, he jumps, heads it in the back of the goal. It was like watching...
So is that a lack of desire, a lack of talent, a lack of coaching?
But then what happens...
Do your research as a
What
player.
happens then, OK, first of all, you should have Dawson. Hey, Dawson's their main man. We've got to put Martin... We've got to put a header with him. Someone go and mark him. That's your job. But when he scored, they all stand there. They all walk away. Who gets hold of somebody? They say, "Oi, where's some?" You know, they don't dig each other out. They
We
accept
used to say
it.
that we did a goal almost over our dead body, you know. And it was one. Dawson is a player that played as a centre forward, believe it or not. I believe he was at Rotherham or somewhere as a youngster, played centre forward. He's got this habit of getting on the end of things. You've got to take it personally when another centre half's coming into my box and doing that. So you want that leadership, and I'm not seeing enough of that at the moment, and just hiding behind the manager's story.
And the final question, and it's changed really from should Arsene Wenger go to will Arsene Wenger go? Your gut feeling from these results, what you've heard, what you've seen?
I think it's time for... Yes, he's been a great, great manager. But his time, I think he's had his time now. That's my honest opinion. I respect him greatly. The results and the way the team look and the way he's looking, I think it's time. If I was him, walk out with your head held high up in one of the great managers in English football and go on and do something wherever he's going to go in the future.
He's been tremendously successful in the early part of his Arsenal career, transcended the game on many levels, but at the moment he can't stop this team from free falling out of the top four, and doesn't seem like he's got it in him at the moment to change the fortunes of this football club. So for me, I think it's a new chapter maybe could be written in this club.
Interesting, Maria, wouldn't it, to see if he does make any kind of changes. There is a change to his management style because his back is now firmly against the wall. I think Man City is a game that's coming up, isn't it? The next game in the league. Will he change it? Will it be more difficult to beat? Will he have a better balance? You know, because if he can win that game,
he's not done that for many years though.
He hasn't,
There's not been a change in the way that they play.
Does he change now, or
Why?
does he? Well, maybe he has to change. Maybe he doesn't, and he realised because the players just simply aren't good enough. But that's a judgment call by the manager. Okay. The manager buys the players, and his ability to judge players the same as it was.
And by the way, is he going?
I've no idea.
What do you think?
Well, it seems inevitable.
Yeah.
Okay. Fascinating chat, thanks for that. And by the way, apologies to all the West Brom fans watching this. They're probably watching going, hold on a minute, we've beaten Arsenal 3-1, you haven't mentioned us.
Great result.
Tony Pulis, brilliant against Arsenal, really doing a fantastic job there. They're really, they're sort of almost
Well
the
done,
best
Fletch.
team
Well
there.
played, mate.
Yeah,
Did he play?
The one game they didn't want today, West Brom away, is not an easy place to go, is it?
No.
Absolutely not. Right, 3-word match report straight after the break. Who you support and the 3 words that sum up your team's performance today. See you in a couple of minutes. Very good. Welcome back. It's lovely to have you with us for Premier League tonight. We're live until 9 o'clock this evening. Try and guess which football club are the most talked about on the 3-word match reports tonight.
Arsenal.
Yeah. Samantha Hicks, plain, awful, arson. Very clever. We've got a few others though. Bert says Chelsea, who's a Chelsea fan. Grit, determination, champions. We'll talk Chelsea in a moment. Charlie, who's a Watford fan. Championship standard performance. Meanwhile, Sam, Leicester are back. And Matt says Arsenal. Thanks. Farewell. Right, keep them coming in. Use the hashtag PL tonight to join in the discussion. And we're now going to talk Chelsea. And first, we'll hear from Antonio Conte.
For sure, this win is an important win, honestly. And we played two games at away against West Ham and Stoke, and to win both games is very important in this part of the season. Now there are 10 games to go. I like to think, I like to repeat that now we need to take 21 points to be sure to win the league.
The message is clear to the players. Here's a tweet from your friend of mine, Henry Winter. Champions-elect, so resilient, overcoming tough hurdles week after week, driving towards the line. Conte, surely manager of the year. We'll talk about him specifically in just a second. But when you were both winning Premier League titles at your respective clubs, was there a moment, a day, a result, a period in the season where you just thought, well, we've done this? And have the Chelsea players now got to that point?
Normally it'd be a lot later than this, but these boys are running away with it. There's no one consistent enough to stay with them in the league. They found a way of playing, a formula of playing, an understanding of the manager's ideas, and I think he has to take huge credit. The season before, terrible season, so far off the pace, and he's come in and based on repetition, build an understanding within the team of how he wants them to play, and the players really putting it in. He's really run away with the league this year.
He's relentless. This guy is a serial winner. And he announced in the summer when he was working with the Italian team, it was the worst group of Italian players he's had for 50 years, and he turned him into a really good team, let me tell you. And you saw the respect for him then. He knew this back three inside out, played it for Juventus, won 3 championships in Italy. He was setting all sorts of records, went unbeaten in his 3rd season. He will just keep hitting that stick, the players with that stick all the time, demanding that they see it through, and I see no problem. They might as well hand the trophy to them now.
He was leaping on top of the dugout when they got that victory
But
today.
he changed.
knew how much it
it's
meant.
amazing now how he changed the system. He really changed the system again. It was a system he's always played that way with Juventus, played that way with Italy. Then he came here and played with a back 4, which
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I mean, I was with Chelsea at the start of the year. I fancied Chelsea. I thought this is going to be their year. They'd come back from that one bad year. And I was disappointed he didn't play with three at the back. And then suddenly they had two terrible defeats, and he went and suddenly went back to the system that had been successful for him over the years. Since he did that, they've marched on and never looked back. They look fantastic.
He has got Kante though in that midfield, and it's like having two players, isn't it? And I've played in the three for England and for Arsenal on many occasions. Never were comfortable with it, and never quite really had two midfield players. I wasn't playing with Vieira and Petit at that point, but didn't have two that could cover that kind of distance. And I think he allows you to play around with that system, and then you can have Hazard and more creative players in the final third if you've got those two, Matic.
Got good
Kante.
players, Martin, haven't they? Hazard is
Fantastic.
fantastic. You know, Costa is a hand.
Whoever buys Kante next season wins the Premier League, don't they? His value's gone up. And by the way, it's looking good for the youth as well, and you won't like this. The Chelsea youth have beaten the Spurs youth team in the FA Youth Cup semi-final.
Fantastic.
9-2 on aggregate.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm sure they'll all make it into the first team one day at Chelsea.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt about that.
Jody
you know.
Morris is manager as well. He's doing all right. He is, yeah.
That would be a good thing actually in a few years' time to look back and see how many
Every
actually
year
make
they win
it.
it,
What's the
Mark.
most important thing?
Yeah, but
They win it, Martin.
they've had
They win it every year.
they break records every year,
They
but
win
they
it
go out
every
of
year.
London,
But they never don't get a player come
When did
through.
you get so cynical?
The last player, John Terry was the last player to come through. John Terry. Who else have they really produced? Zuma plays a couple of games. Somebody
They
else.
bought him.
Yeah, who plays it? They have all these great
Loftus-Cheek played a
kids.
couple of games.
They loan them all out. They're all playing out on loan somewhere.
And even Ake, who's done well, has been taken away from Bournemouth, hasn't he? He hasn't played
Yeah.
since he
Well,
went to
to all
Chelsea.
those Chelsea youth players who played today and are tuning into Premier League tonight,
Yeah,
have a brilliant evening.
You're going
us
to
wrong.
have to be an absolute world beater to ever get in the team. That's the only thing I could say to them because they do it every year. Man City the same.
Yeah.
Man City, Chelsea. Man City every year. Man City, Chelsea. What comes out of them teams? When are we going to find some players from them teams?
When I signed for West Ham, I signed for West Ham on the basis that I saw a pathway through to the first team because the club made a concerted effort to do that. They said we're not going to spend big money, we're going to bring young players through, and they were true to that. And Southampton have been doing it in recent years.
Yeah.
And Everton seem to be doing
The
that
pressure's
now.
so great though now. I mean, how often? When
So
was
why
the
is
last youth
Southampton
team
doing
player
it?
to come through here at Bournemouth?
But they've never produced players at Bournemouth. It's a club that that has not produced homegrown players over the years. So
There has to be a stepping stone to the first team. I think we do need to look at the under-21s or under-23s that we talk it, because the realism or the lack of realism in those competitions, there's no doubt you've got to get the boys out on loan
Get them out
as
on
soon
loan.
as you possibly can. Now Chelsea have done that, but when they come back to their clubs, they don't feel that there's an opportunity to get there. Give them the vision.
Yeah,
to
but
get
if
to
you're
that
a young lad in the youth team or 21s or whatever, 23s, and you're banging in goals week in week out or putting in top class performances at that level, surely there should be a stepping stone straight into the first team squad to train with them with an idea of getting a place on the bench to get in the first team. At the moment, there doesn't seem to be that at the clubs.
You never
mentioned before.
really knew though if you were going to make it to the first team. It's just all
we
about
did.
are you good enough?
I
isn't it?
knew
if I was good
I knew
enough.
when he was 15.
But doesn't that still apply today?
I know
if
he
you're
was-
good enough. But
Yeah.
the reality is the standard has got so much higher because you're now competing with 50, 60, 70 million pound players.
He
from
walked
abroad.
in the club at 15, and I'm looking. I think, how quick can we get this kid in the team? Defoe walks in at 15. You think, my God, he's going to be in the team
But
in
it
a
still
year.
happens though. Dele Alli
Where?
coming through at Spurs.
No,
It's
he
still-
didn't come
He
through at
didn't come through
Spurs.
at
They
MK
bought him
Dons.
from
Yeah, of
MK
course.
Dons for
He
£5
went
million.
on loan.
Yeah, he didn't go on
No,
loan.
he was bought from MK.
He was.
bought from
But
MK Dons.
The point is, players are. You're right. The players are. You can still find young English talent.
Of
We're not
course you
saying
can.
that
They need a chance
the door is
to
closed.
play.
No,
They
the
have
problem is, you look
they
at the
have to
benches
go
of
to
these
a
teams.
club where they're going to play.
You look at the benches of some of these teams. You got players who are bang average on the bench.
Yeah.
They're actually stifling the development of some of our young
They
talent.
do not
That's
get
the
a
problem.
chance to play at Chelsea. They don't get a chance to play. They go out and Man City the same. Spend millions on their academies. When they're going to start getting some kids come
You need
through?
managers with courage, don't you? You know, to
Give the
play
kids-
these kids. We're proving that we've got good young English players.
If you were still managing in the Premier League now, would you be bringing some youth through? Or
If
would
they
you
were
be,
good enough, of course I would. There's
'Cause-
nothing nicer.
But there's nothing nicer. But your job is to get the best result this season. Therefore, you have to go and buy sometimes.
Well, it's the ethos of the club as well. If the club are going to give the manager time and they've the desire to bring young kids through, then you've got a chance. But if the club is just like based on pure success, and the manager's not putting the results in, but he's playing the kids, inevitably he's going to get the sack. So it's chicken and egg sometimes.
All right, we weren't expecting that chat, flying off at a tangent as we tend to on this show, but a brilliant chat all the same. Very quickly, a few comments coming in about Chelsea. Charlie says the fight in this team is incredible. Dan, Conte is joyful on the pitch. Chelsea now 13 clear. RJ, there's something seriously wrong with you if you don't love Antonio Conte. The guy is contagious. And Gary says Cahill's goal today is the captain's influence that made JT's reputation. He's showing similar leadership now in his absence. And Martin, Gary Cahill stepped up in vital moments for us this season. Right, let's talk Leicester very briefly. These are Scott's thoughts. He's a Leicester fan.
Good evening, guys. Just coming back from the Olympic Stadium for West Ham versus Leicester. Leicester finally get 3 points on the road. Made hard work of it towards the end, having gone 2 goals up very early on. Schmeichel, once again, not for the first time this week, has saved our bacon. And ultimately, we've come away for the 3 points. West Ham put up a real good fight, and they're unfortunate not to nick something at the end. But I'm coming away very happy today.
So Leicester fans smiling once again. Abiad got in touch just now using the hashtag PL Tonight, joining the conversation as well. Amazing from Leicester, a real team with amazing spirit. The board once again with another good decision, sacking Ranieri. It was the right decision in hindsight, wasn't it?
I mean, we're all talking. They beat Athletic. They beat Seville the other night. Ranieri was the manager in the first leg. They got beat 2-1. Fantastic away result. Got an away goal. And the other night, an excellent performance. But, you know, he was the coach there, Shakespeare, with Ranieri. He'd have had a massive input into what was going on. So, you know, the players have livened up suddenly for some reason, decided to run about, close down.
It is the same
do
team,
a bit of work,
playing effectively the same formation here and winning these games.
Yeah.
Well, I would say they look a little bit tighter in terms of the way they're set up. They're a little bit. The fullbacks aren't.
Really,
being
who would have been doing the work
adventurous.
on the training ground?
Yeah, normally the coach.
The coach. Everyone keeps saying Shakespeare's a great coach. Oh, maybe he is. He'd have been doing the work on the training ground. I don't think Ranieri was out there at 67, whatever he was, doing everything. Suddenly, you know, it's all changed suddenly. But it's the players. Vardy now is just unplayable again. He's the Vardy we saw a year ago.
The owners look as if now, of course, results, they've been vindicated by the decision that they've made. I was publicly saying that I was a little bit unhappy with the fact that the manager has come forward as he is. He didn't want to be a manager when he was assistant
Craig
manager.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, Craig Shakespeare. He's a part of that, the last managerial team. It didn't sit right that he suddenly wants to be the manager. Now listen, he's found himself in that position. For me, it's not long term. This is a short term decision. They might want to give him another year, but they've got to be building for the future. They do bring very good players in there, don't they? And Ndidi's come into that midfield to replace Kante. So there is a scouting system within the team, and if he's head of that, he's getting the right results. It's been quite remarkable, the results that he's had. But I cannot understand why they stopped. There's down tools for the last manager, and that can't be right. But it's part
of a manager's job, not just to make sure your players are brilliantly coached, but to inspire them to go out and do their job. And for whatever reason, whether it's right or wrong, with Ranieri as the manager,
so you're talking about
together.
managers. Arsene Wenger, Martin knows, but he's a manager, wasn't he? He's not a great coach, is he?
He does everything, Harry.
He
was coaching, managing.
You do a lot of shape and pattern of play.
The core work on that training session, all the other coaches are doing, to a certain extent, is warming the players up. Steve Bold might work in the compartment of the defence, but the core of the session and what he was looking for, the philosophy, is all Arsene Wenger. 100%.
But Fergie wasn't a coach.
No, he stood outside, just stood there. His influence was his presence.
He was and then he
was obviously his man management of people at individual and key moments of the season in cajoling the players. He just
How much were you on the training ground?
Yeah, every day.
So you coached as well as manager?
Yeah.
You know what, I just feel that the core of this we've not really spoken about is they're all legends, iconic figures at Leicester. And it seemed to me a tussle. Was it the players? Was it the manager? Yeah. And when they're listening at the end of the season to this Pavarotti stuff and all the Oscar singing, what are those players thinking? Are they thinking, hold on, the manager's gone too far here? And you do get that situation in dressing rooms where managers just seem to be forgetting about the work we did. And now the players are proving that actually we've got a say in this because it's the same group of players, different person in charge, and we're winning games.
I think a lot of it's the players. They've won the league, and the edge of them has just gone a little bit. They had an edge last season. The edge has gone a little bit. And when you're players who aren't used to being that top level player, a lot of them have been journeymen, released from clubs. So that edge gone, not the same players. And now they've got the edge back again because the manager's gone.
Okay, interesting chat. As you can see, the floodlights have come back on. Someone obviously turned them off and realised we were still on the television. So I put them back on. Right, talking of players with an edge, Romelu Lukaku cannot stop scoring at the moment. Here's Jamie's thoughts.
The man who's been making all the headlines finished off a great team win for Everton, 4-0. We struggled to get our top gear for the majority of the game, but we got the job done, and Rom scored both the goals. After a tumultuous week, it was really important that we got the win. I'm really pleased that Rom got the goals because there was a lot of pressure on him this afternoon. His comments frustrating as a supporter, but it echoes what we want. We want to see the club moving forward, and I hope Rom wants to be part of that. He can see that Koeman's building something for the future, but he needs the board to be able to go out and get those top players that's going to move the club forward, and I think we will. So Rom, please get that contract signed, mate.
So an appeal there for Romelu Lukaku to sign his contract. Give us an insight into the life of Ronald Koeman right now as a manager. What does he need to do to get Romelu Lukaku to commit?
To get him to commit, I would think probably give him another 70 grand a week or something, you know. No, I don't know what he's looking for. I mean, he's now saying he wants to play in a team that's going to win something or whatever, which is great. He's ambitious wants to play in a successful team. Everton is a fantastic football club, one of the great football clubs in my opinion. Great tradition.
But you're not likely to play in the Champions League in the next 2 or 3
Well, it
seasons.
depends now. They've got new owners, and I think they're improving. They could make the top 6 this year, and they're a team that could be on the up, aren't they?
Well, if you look at their level on points with Arsenal, so
Yeah.
if we feel that Arsenal can make it into the Champions League, I think they've got a couple of games in hand, Arsenal.
Why do you think Arsenal can get in the Champions League?
Doesn't look like it at the moment.
Oh, I don't think so.
But you know they're getting now to the edge of that. And Koeman is a manager. Schneiderlin being a really good purchase. He slotted him in. He knows exactly what he wants. Koeman.
You've all seen this situation before. Do you expect Romelu to stay?
No.
How long has he got left on his contract? Do we know?
2 years, I think.
2 years.
I don't see him staying because if it goes down 2 years, the price tag goes down again. I think they'll cash in this season because he's going to make it apparent that he wants to leave. And listen,
He's got a very shrewd agent, Rio.
yeah, his agent don't mess about.
The guy,
Raiola. But I think
Raiola.
more
I mean, he's a
importantly-
clever guy.
I think more importantly that he's a guy who's best mates with Pogba. He's seen other friends and other players in his Belgium team go on and win things.
Yeah.
He wants to step up and he wants to be part.
Can
of
you
the
understand it?
But he wants to be part of the conversation.
But
over
where's he
dinner.
going to go then? Because you know he's been at Chelsea. I can't see the Man United buying him. Man United's manager Mourinho got rid of him at Chelsea. He's not going to go to Liverpool. His rivals to Everton. Is it Man City that he's destined for? Do they want to put him in there?
Is it Manchester United? They need a young goal scorer. Wayne Rooney's not
Mourinho
playing.
didn't fancy him.
fancy him one
fancy him
bit.
at Chelsea.
Just
He's
loaned him
developed
out
since
every
then, he's
year.
developed.
So
He's
can't you make
developed since
mistakes as a manager?
Of course, I mean, listen, we're talking
Pogba
about
go.
Pogba. Let him go on for next to nothing. So
Well, they did that once and paid a huge amount of money for him, and maybe that's a mistake as well.
I don't
can't
think
see
he's got to
the-
stay in England. They could go. He's top scorer in the Premier League, most exciting league in the world. He's going to have people after him.
Okay, lots of your thoughts coming in for Lukaku. Sean says Lukaku blowing kisses to the Gladys Street today. The fans responded by chanting his name. As Farhad Moshri put it, he's our man. What that counts for, I don't know. Matthew, I love Lukaku. He obviously wants our club to succeed. You can clearly see he wants to stay if we show we're making progress. And Mark says, yes, Lukaku is our best player, but we'll get serious money for him. He's made it clear from the start. We were a stepping
They should be fighting to get Barkley's contract sorted out just as much
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
they are with Lukaku.
I'll be honest, if someone offered me 70 grand for Lukaku, I'll sell him tomorrow.
70 mil.
Yeah.
Not 70 grand.
70 mil, sorry. 70 mil. 70
Times
mil.
have moved up.
70 mil. I'd sell him tomorrow.
You sell Lukaku for
70 million, yeah, I would, yeah.
You don't think he's worth more than that?
No, I don't know.
24. Okay, right. Keep your thoughts coming in. 3-word match reports. Who you support. 3 words that sum up your team's performance today. And in the final part of the show, we're also going to talk about who was better for their country than they were for their club. Loads of stuff coming in about that. And after the break, we talk about the Sunday matches. See you in a sec. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us for this evening's Premier League Tonight. Use the hashtag PL Tonight to join in the conversation. Drag, dull and relegated. Who does Stephen support?
Hull.
Sunderland. Brad, Lord, Tony Pulis. Julie says don't go Rom. She's an Everton fan. Awful, shocking and disappointed. Who's James support? One of your old clubs.
West Ham?
I'm afraid so.
Very poor.
And Sarah deserved something more. She's actually a West Ham fan, so there you go. Differing opinions. Right, it's
They
time.
were poor here last week, West Ham.
Yeah, they were.
Very disappointing.
Were you here?
Yeah, came to
For
the
a
game.
change,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Right, it's now time to talk Middlesbrough. Here's a Borough fan with his take on what's been going on.
I think it's the right time for change. You can't win games without scoring goals. You can't win games without having a shot. We couldn't win a corner, never mind grab a goal. Players have to take responsibility as well, but it boils down to the tactics. Clearly not working. It's clearly time for a change. We're getting that change now. Couldn't thank the man enough for everything that he's done for us, but football is a results business, and results weren't going our way. Let's see what happens. Let's get behind the next man up the borough.
Okay, well, the next man at the moment is Steve Agnew. Joe Jordan's in as his...
Joe's got in there, yeah. I spoke to him this morning, only just having a bit of breakfast, saw it in the paper that Joe had gone to Middlesbrough. He said he got a phone call yesterday out of the blue and they've asked him to go in there and work with Steve Agnew for a bit.
And does he think that's a long-term thing, end of the season?
You don't know. Joe would just go in and do his best. He's a great guy, isn't he, Joe? Yeah. You know, and he'll go in and he'd be a good buffer for Steve Agnew, I'm sure. And
did you ask Joe over your cornflakes whether there's a chance for you?
No, I didn't. No, it wasn't. Didn't interest me.
No. Why not? I thought you were keen to get back in if the right job came up.
Yeah, but
miles away.
Middlesbrough, it's quite...
Not if you live in Middlesbrough.
I can't really leave home early in the morning. I wouldn't get there in time for training.
You do live on the south coast. I mean, that isn't ideal.
It's sort of not ideal. That's why I managed Bournemouth, Portsmouth, Southampton, all on the coast.
You'll take a job if it's near your house?
Of course, yeah. Poole Town or somewhere. Poole Town.
So you don't fancy the borough job?
No. They don't, obviously, I'm sure they don't fancy me either. So it's not a problem.
It's a two-way thing.
I love the chairman, though. I'll tell you that now, and I don't say that because I think he's fantastic, that Steve Gibson.
Well, do you know what? Let's hear
top
from...
chairman.
Absolutely. Let's hear from... That sounds like you're asking for a job. I don't want the job. By the way, the chairman's amazing. I'd love to work for him.
If you read, I've said that over the years. He is a proper fantastic... If anyone deserves success, it's Steve Gibson, in my opinion.
Right. Let's hear from him because he was talking to Andy May.
Did you speak to any of the players? Were they involved?
No, I wouldn't speak to any of the players. That's the job of the coach.
If he did fall out with Stuart Downing, that wouldn't have been the big factor in this decision at all?
None whatsoever. I wouldn't get involved. I wouldn't judge the first team coach or football manager on his relationship with one player. I would not undermine the authority of a first team coach.
Fantastic. I hope there's plenty of football chairmen listening to that man talk there tonight, because unfortunately in the game today there's not enough people like him. He doesn't talk to players about chairmen and get players' opinions about managers rather, or coaches. There's too many of them want to be involved talking to players, texting players. Well, as soon as it goes wrong, the players blame the manager or the coaching. I think he's fantastic, the man.
And it's hard to be critical of Steve Gibson because I think we would all agree he is without doubt one of the best chairmen, one of the best owners that we've got in football, and the more Steve Gibson's the better. But perhaps if you ask Aitor Karanka, he will say, I needed to be backed better in the transfer window. There were certain targets that he wanted, and I don't believe that those targets, first choice targets anyway, were necessarily Bamford and Gusted, and he even came out, didn't he? And he said other clubs around us are signing £14 million strikers, and then specifically praised his head of recruitment, Victor Orta, for having done an amazing job.
Steve Gibson maybe, maybe he's not a billionaire anymore, I don't know. He's a very wealthy guy, but he's put so much money into that club, maybe he can't keep poking money in there.
This is it, I think.
But then should the manager get the sack if the players aren't
money
good
on players, Negredo, one or two others, and they're not really doing anything for the team? Are they starting to lose confidence in the manager? Gusted has come in, hasn't he? And he's a player maybe couldn't even get in the Villa team. So yeah, you have to question that, but I can't believe they didn't have the resources to go and buy, but the players just weren't available, and they went for the players that they could get. As simple as that.
Don't you feel for him though? Because Jose said, didn't he, in his press conference yesterday? He said Karanka deserves the sack. The first season they're nearly in League One, then they get to the playoff final, then they get promoted.
He's Jose's pal, isn't he? I mean, he can stick up for his mate, which is fair enough. Yeah. But he walked out last year when things went a little bit wrong, and he decided that suddenly disappear for a week and.
He looks smart though, don't they?
He looks like he hasn't got. Yeah, he looks like he lacked a spark.
He criticised the supporters as well.
Also, they've seen what's happened to Leicester. So Steve Gibson might have seen that and thought, you know what? Before it's too late, I'm going to do that. And the result, there might be an upturn in results.
But Hull is still there. Swansea is still there. Everyone get one or two wins. The manager, he's made such a difference. Hull is still back in there. They've lost their last few games again. Or they're not out of it. I still think Hull will get relegated.
I think the three that are in there now go down.
Have a look at this actually. This is what happens when clubs change their managers when they're towards the bottom, when they're fighting against relegations. You can see here, so there's the club, there's the previous manager, the win percentage of the previous manager to the manager now. Without doubt, every single time they've had a spike, they've had an uplift, whether it's a small change, Guidolin to Bradley, or a huge change, Ranieri to Shakespeare.
That tells you one thing, do it sooner rather than later then.
It's now too late.
That's what it tells you. I think it possibly is, because he ain't going to be able to do any reshuffling of the pack because he ain't got a transfer window to do so. So he's got to hope he can go in there and just the presence of a new man.
Yeah, you do wonder with that Karanka situation, really, what is being gained by doing it now. It must have been something serious for Gibson to decide that's enough is enough. It's what he's seeing on the pitch. I mean, the last league game that they played in, the cup game where they went out, he was talking about it was a good performance, he saw no problems, and actually there were an awful lot of problems in his team. Maybe it was his words after the game, that made the chairman decide enough is enough.
James got in touch on social media. Thank you to the Borough fans for all of your comments. Downing back in the 11 every game. One player with Premier League experience, and there's undoubted quality if Agnew puts an arm around him. Quick predictions for tomorrow. It's going to be tough for Manchester United, missing plenty of players.
Middlesbrough to win.
Cool.
That's a bold shout.
What's that
Fearless. That's because I'm a judge. That's what it's based on, Jake.
It could be based on no Ibrahimovic, probably no Pogba.
Absolutely.
No Herrera.
You're spot on.
Maybe even no Daley Blind after he had
I think
that
we might see
knock.
Middlesbrough tomorrow. It's a great game.
I saved you there.
You did. It's a great game for Middlesbrough. They go into that. They're complete underdogs. You've got nothing to lose. No one expects them
You
to
have to
get
dream
anything.
in football. I admire that.
And I think they'll have a real go tomorrow.
Middlesbrough, Rashford will have too much. It's surely going to be a Rashford day. Manchester United now purring onto they'll go above Arsenal, won't they?
I think that's the
huge
incentive.
to
the incentive for Man United after the result today is to go climb that league, get out of the position they're in, and climb up and look towards fourth. And I think it's a huge
they've
incentive.
had that incentive before this season and not taken the chance.
Yeah, but
Listen, Man United played Bournemouth the other week. Bournemouth had 10 men for 60 minutes. They still couldn't beat them. They played the other night. I watched the game against poor game, poor performance. Man United are not world beaters at the moment.
Okay. A reminder, you can see that game on BT, of course. You're on fire tonight, Harry, by the way.
Absolutely.
Enjoying
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Wait till I go out and have a glass of wine in 20 minutes. Nice glass of red. I'll really be on fire, Jake.
That's what we should be filming.
You could do it coming with me.
To liven up a little bit, yeah.
Dinner at Harry's. Are we all invited back there?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, we're running out of time quickly on the show. We're live till 9 o'clock. After the break, we're going to talk about which player in your mind has been better for his country than his club. Get your thoughts in. We'll see you in a second. Welcome back. Thank you very much for your messages. Francis says that she's loving Harry Redknapp on the show this evening. Jamie's asked whether he can come out for some beers with you tonight.
I don't drink beer. I never had drunk a glass of beer in my whole life.
You have?
Never even drunk one glass.
What? Have you tried a sip?
Never. I had a sip once, and I hated it, and I've never drunk it since.
Not a
No, never drunk beer in my life, Jake. I don't even. The only time I drink is if I go out for a meal and I love a glass of red wine. Other than that, I'm not a drinker.
Are you taking Sandra out for dinner this evening?
Yeah, we go out and have a nice glass of red wine.
Where are you going?
Italian with a pasta.
Keep it vague.
Yeah.
Vincent says, loving Harry Redknapp on the show tonight. Owen, Premier League tonight, by far the best football talk show going. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
Yes, so would I. Jamie says, would love to go out for a few beers with Redknapp and talk football all night.
Right. Don't tell him where I live.
Ryan, his 3-word match report. We aren't 6th Man United fan. Adam, no top 4 Arsenal fan. Mark, heading to Europe. Everton fan. And Ben, dominant, confident, passionate. He's a Chelsea fan. Okay, right, we've been training this throughout the programme. We're talking about which players were better for their country than their club. Get your thinking caps on, gentlemen, to give you some inspiration. Have a listen to this lot.
When I look at Arsenal players, past or present, who have been brilliant for their country and not so great for us, the absolute king of that stat has got to be the great Lord Bender. 1 goal in every 2.5 games for his country, a goal every 4.5 games for Arsenal.
It's got to be Wayne Hennessy. In the Euros, was an absolutely magnificent goalkeeper for Wales. Looked international class. For Palace, he's been a real disappointment. Most fans don't have much confidence in him, and it seems like the defence don't either.
You have to go all the way back to 2002 and the World Cup winning Brazilian in Cleberson, touted as the guy that was going to retire Roy Keane, take the Premier League by storm, and he didn't do anything, did he? He was bang average, really ordinary, and just didn't live up to the hype in any way, shape or form. So for me, Cleberson is the only guy that flopped for club but did well for country.
Cleberson won the World Cup. What was he, like 6 million quid to Man United? How good was he?
Yeah, listen, in training, I remember one of the first sessions we had.
In training?
No, one of the first sessions he out-jumped Gary Neville at the back post, bang one in. And we were like, whoa. Neville's like, I can't believe what I've just seen. In the games, it just didn't happen for him. He was a really timid lad, to be honest with you. Come from a different country, obviously, and he just never settled. And you could see there was glimpses you could see in training. He had some moments of class, but he never put it together in a game for us, really.
What is that about players that are brilliant on the training field, and then you put them in a game and it just doesn't happen?
You see it. Like you don't waste your energy on the training pitch. Let's see it on a Saturday. I think that's one of the first things you maybe say to a new signing. What we have to do as defenders is make sure they don't produce that. Otherwise, you're not playing yourself. Because at one stage, I thought Wenger was trying to retire me, the amount of quality he was putting me up against every training session. But it's a mystery. You get these players, I feel they somehow come together when they play for the club. Sometimes it's too big for players. They go the other way. Then they can't produce for their national team. But other players, it brings something special out of them because they go right down to their core of their being and their family. They're representing their schoolmates and everyone else, that chill down the back of your neck you get when you're walking out to represent your country, it can either destroy you or it makes a man of you. And you see players go different directions.
Have you ever watched a player play internationally and thought, I'm buying him, and he comes to the club and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, how many do you want?
Brilliant. I am coming out of a dinner with you
Javier
tonight.
Margas, captain of Chile.
Centre off.
I went out to the World Cup, watch him play, fantastic. What a competitor. I go and watch him at Wembley. He doesn't give Michael Owen a kick at Wembley. He's fantastic. I sign him, bring him to West Ham. Disaster. I don't even know. I don't know if it was his fault.
You signed his brother.
It was difficult. He'd come over, him and his wife and family, and in them days there was no aftercare for foreign players. You brought them in. Yeah. We put him out in a house way out in Essex somewhere. They gave him a car. Okay, see you in the morning at the training ground. He's never driven on that side of the road.
Didn't have sat-nav back then.
He ain't got no sat-nav. He ends up, instead of coming to Chadwell Heath to the training ground, West Ham, he ended up going to Stansted Airport, which was 50 miles away from Chadwell Heath.
Oh, no.
And straight away, his wife's at home all down her own, don't speak English, she starts crying. He suddenly wants to go home, he's not happy.
And did you do what you could to try and keep him and improve him?
Well, he didn't speak English, it was very hard. I definitely didn't understand what I was trying to say to him. And in the end, he ended up in a hotel. I went round the motel to see him, and because his wife had gone home. And when I got there, I'll never forget, me and Peter's story, we're knocking, they said he's in room 102 or whatever, knocking on his door, no answer. Go back, he's not in. They said, no, he's there. He took the key, he's in the room. Suddenly the guy comes back eventually, opens the door, all his belongings are there, and the window's open. He's jumped out the window on the first floor, onto the grass below at the old Swallow, as it used to be called. Gone, got him disappeared by the edge of the motorway. Next thing, he's on a plane. He must took his passport with him. Went back to Chile. Couldn't get him back. Wouldn't come back. His wife was home. The family. He would not come back.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had to sell him back to the Chilean club.
You weren't that bad of a manager, was you?
Well, we had to sell him back to the Chilean club, who obviously, when he's in, they held all the aces. There suddenly, they didn't want to pay a lot.
I love your story.
When a player's not happy, and that support base is not around him, it's a very difficult thing, isn't it? If you're just not, when everything's good in your life, you go out and you take that into your performances, and that's the trick for managers to get that home life correct.
But he was a good player. So he was the captain of a real good Chilean team.
Martin said David Healy and Kyle Lafferty. Kyle Lafferty can't get a kick at Norwich. Yeah. What about Nicholas Bentner? Says David Kasule. David Bentner, no doubt, better for country than club. John Dahl Thomason, said Chris Turner. Darius Vassell is what Tony says. Andrew Wheeler, Andros Townsend. He thinks Andros has been better for his country.
Andros is I think there's a real player in Andros.
When you look back on your career, do you think you were as good for your country as you were for your club? Or do you think that the pressure is so great and was so great playing for England that it didn't allow you to be as good as maybe you wanted to be?
I think it's a mixture. I think as well, we knew we had top players, but we were never kind of. I don't think we were set up to win games. We had probably the best midfield 4, 5, 6 players in Europe, but never played them in a formation that benefited them. So our team was never. I don't think we were ever set up to go out there and be successful. And when a team's successful, you then get successful individuals. So the platform was not there for the individuals to thrive, and that was, I think, was a big problem with the England team that I played.
I think you could have played under international. It was Terry Venables.
Yeah.
I remember he took you when you was a kid,
when
didn't
I
he?
was about 16,
16, he took you to train with the England team. He was 16 years of age.
Amazing.
I could have played for him as well, but he never picked me.
That's a different story. Rio came back and you loved him.
He was unbelievable.
He had a great personality, didn't he?
Great. Right, it's time to tell you what else is happening on BT Sport tonight in the coming days. You can see Premier League today from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's all the goals from today. That's followed by Middlesbrough against Manchester United. And then we've got UFC Fight Night, Manoir against Anderson. That's over on BT Sport 2, and it gets going in just a couple of minutes. Well worth a watch. I'll be on the app on the way home watching that one. You will as well, won't you?
Yep.
You made the show tonight.
I'm going home to watch Golovkin Jacobs tonight.
Are you?
What a fight that'll be.
Fight,
Yes,
good fight.
definitely.
Two great fights.
With Sandra, or is that on your own on the sofa?
Triple G.
No, she go to bed then. I'll sit up late and watch it.
Brilliant.
It's not until
Your plans tonight, Martin?
Something similar. I forgot the fight was on. I might have a look at that.
Gents, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really enjoyed
Good
it.
to see you, Jace.
Nice to see you. And we're going to leave, as ever, with you having the last word. Miserable away days was the question. These were the answers. We'll see you very soon. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Well, that is it. Burnley are not going to win away from home at all this season.
It's becoming a bit of a joke. Something needs to change, and Arsenal need to do something about it quickly.
I feel disheartened, disconnected, not a good day. I'm not a happy Hornet.
I mean, I've got to drive home in that Ypres junk tonight, back to Wall with a 3-0 thrashing with little hope, and I just, well, bring on the championship, eh?